Okay, so this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I use Claude Code to generate a website. Now, the motivation behind this was that um, I saw this doctor's website and he had all his information on it, and I thought it was a really good marketing strategy to represent himself independently and what his skills are and what he was all about. And he had his podcast on there. He had his registration for receiving lectures. So he was doing all this stuff independently, and I thought it was a very good idea. So what I decided to do was generate create a Claude project. Now the way I started that is I used a base foundation create Claude folder skill that I created. And what it did was it created all of these folders for me to some extent. It made sure that I had Python. I had a Node modules and a Python. Is there a Python environment? Yeah, Python virtual environment. It was a React app, and I do plan on using some Python. I don't. Yeah, let's take a look at it because I don't really know to what extent I'm using Python. But so basically, what I did was I said, I want stevebonacountry.com, and I want to host this on AWS platform, and so after my initial skill created the folder, it pointed my visual source code to this folder, and then I started up a new Claude session. That's what my skill does automatically. So to make a long story short, I don't want this to be a long video, but I just want to explain to you what I did and what Claude did. So I gave Claude a prompt. I basically said, I want a personal website. I want these 5 site areas. I want a contact form. I want a home page. I want an expertise site area. I want different things. Now what it did is it created this website for me. Now it went and scraped all my information. It found out all about me, and I asked it for these site areas. So one at a time, it wanted to build these site areas, and I was just telling Claude how to refine it, how to modify it. And so the homepage had a dummy image here, and I said, go get my image from YouTube, and it did it, and it sort of gave this summary down here of my interest, and I actually had 3 companies, but it sort of mentioned 2 companies that founded, and I could just modify that. If I go to read the bio, let's see where this goes. This goes to about. It goes to about. So this is my about page. What I did was I told Claude to use ChatGPT to generate my images, and it gave me 3 options of the different types of images. And what I did was took a specific type of image, and I had ChatGPT generate all those. And so I did have to put the ChatGPT key in my project, so it happens. But now I didn't completely test all this, but it seems like it's all working, and there's these links here that appear to be working. Let's see if I go to Home Task. It brings up a new tab, which is great, and this is my company website. But notice there's nothing about me on this site at all, except if I go to contact, you could contact me. Some of this stuff I'm going to replace with Claude, but this is my company website, which specializes in AWS Connect implementations, and I'll be specializing in autonomous systems using Silva a Nova Sonic and making sure that you could automatically get contracting services the way you can do autonomously. But I'm not there yet quite. But anyway, point is that Claude created this whole thing. Now, let's see if I go to training. Yeah, I have I told it to create this training page and put my Udemy training site on there. So I have an Amazon Connect training course for beginners. It is a full extensive course. We'll update this very soon for 2027. But there's a lot of content here and it's relatively inexpensive. If you go to YouTube, what I told Claude to do was, hey, you know what? I want some tabs here. And some of these don't really look like tabs, but what the hell? So I have all my Claude videos here that are on YouTube. And I have a lot of my agent course stuff on YouTube, which I'm going to revamp soon and update. And I have my Amazon Connect YouTube videos here, which correspond to my course on Udemy. And so the plan is I'll create an agent core Udemy, Claude Code Udemy. This is stuff I spent years and years doing way back. These are not all my training. I offered a course with a wide variety of training in TypeScript and Angular, and these were just some things I put onto YouTube that were not, they were in the course, but they were not really, and they were not a formal part of the course. So anyway, point is, let's see if I visit my channel, what happens here. The point is that Claude did a very good job with something very quickly, and I'm very impressed with what happened here. Now, to give you an idea of where I'm going with this, I did ask Claude to publish this, register my name, stevebunacountry.com, and register this thing with Amazon in one of my production accounts, and set up CloudFront, and etc. And I just verbally told it to do it, and it did it. And so I was very impressed with that, because one thing I don't like doing is messing with infrastructure. As simple as it might be in AWS, it's just so hard to remember, and it's hard to debug, and it's hard to eventually get it done. And as far as deploying this thing and registering the domain and everything, I mean, I'd say tops an hour. It just finished it. So the hard part now is just like waiting for it all to work. And I do have it responding to me to approve everything. So that's another thing. I am using planning with Opus, and I am using Sonnet. So I haven't really used Haiku for this, but I guess I should have. It probably would have been cheaper. But anyway, and then I also have a contact form. And what I don't like is the little space here, but I could easily tweak that. For the moment, I'm going to try to figure out what I need to do here. I don't like the spaces, but it's not just about me. This form uses web API form or something like that, and I registered. I get 100 free emails per month, and if I start exceeding that, then yeah, my business is doing good. I'll bump it up and pay for it. But I had the option here to use SES and AWS and all that stuff, and I decided to just do this. So this is working as well. Now, just to give you an idea, this is the local host. Let's go and look at my domain name. If I could spell. So that's my domain name. And I got this for $15 a year. And there it is. It's deployed in production. It's on my my Amazon account. Now, in Claude, I'll be working with my local version, right? But when I deploy it, it winds up over here. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to remember what happened here, but I might have had Claude automatically. You could, well, there's this new feature called artifacts, and it might deploy things automatically, but I could create, I could make Claude publish this automatically, but I don't want to do that right now. I just wanted to see what I could get for with the least amount of effort, and I like what I say. Now, what I just did just now with Claude Code is I said add all this add all the meta tags for Google search, and it updated my code, and I kind of did that in the console. I told it to do that, and what it did is it looks like it modified the code. It looked like it. There's something called the React app is Helm. The React app uses Helm to do some of these meta tags, and I remember doing it manually myself, and as simple as it was a pain in the ass. So Claude did that automatically, and I haven't really tested this at all. I just did it just now, but I think where I'm at right now is I just let me just push the code. Okay, the dev server is ready. Let me try to push the code and see what happens. I'm gonna turn this local site down. I don't care about this anymore. I'm gonna be publishing to my domain name. So, and this is a version of it. Now, Claude Artifacts keep tracks of versions of things that you publish. It publishes them to Claude. So I decided to do this officially. This is like something I did in like an hour or two, and I did this whole site and published it and registered a domain name and put CloudFront and did all the bells and whistles. This is now a public site. So now how do I market this? Should I market it? And I think if I look at companies, I like this graphic. This was nice. Yeah. Oh, there's a visit site here, so the link is here, but I do have other companies here which I kind of took out because I want to focus on Home Task AI. But anyway, this worked out good. I did not use a skill for this all. I just gave it a paragraph, planning it and telling it what I wanted to do, and it just generated everything. And I said, okay, change the colors. Change the images, use ChatGPT images, but it did research and found everything about me, and oh yeah, I did feed it my resume, and my resume was in the folder, so it did search my resume. So what does this link do? Probably I should. Oh, this is mailing. This is mailing me on my Gmail account, which really probably should mail me at my Steve at Home Task IO account, but that's okay. So that's all I wanted to show you. Anything else I missed here? Let's just see what happened. I was just gonna push this. Yeah, so it's it asked me to stop the server, so I really don't care at this point. I just want to push the changes I made. It's going into the main branch. And so now that I've included the meta tags for the searching and Helm on it and stuff like that, one thing I did, which I don't usually do, I actually went over to the command console and I started asking it to do things, but not much. I just ask it. I went into the directory where my folder is, and I said, give me a plan to do some search optimization. I don't know if I really buy, because I've been through this before, but let's just see if it helps at all. And I'll use Google's campaigning and stuff like that, and make sure that I get hits on my personal website. But like I said, this is I'm ready to replace my Home Task AI site. So this is just something I could point to, and people could look at me and say, hey, Steve could do this. Let me pay him to do a job. So what I really want is, I really want to do projects by description and deliverables and payments. I don't really want to sell the fact that I want to work for another company. Although if they're doing good work, I'll work for them, and I will do a good job. It's just that you don't really have the option to do what you want to do when you work for a company most of the time. And I'm gonna just tell them to stop it. And notice the commit message should have been, the SEO work, Helm, React Helm changes and stuff like that. Anyway, that's what I just wanted to show up. Don't get me wrong. This was like, I had to communicate with Claude for a couple of hours to really do what I want, and I just went back this morning and I put in the meta tags. But some of this work never ends, and yeah, I'm left with this, and guess what? I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to update it. I'm building a bigger application right now for this site. I'm going to ask Claude to pull this in and redesign it and rebuild it, and I have an application that I had Claude build to actually automate a lot of stuff. Build an application to help contractors. So help contractors and customers, homeowners. So this website again will be informative, but I do have Amazon Connect here. I have an API I'm using, and so this might talk about my product, but it's not going to provide the functionality. I'll have another link here which goes to the application, and the company is called Home Task AI. Right here is Home Task IO. I'm ready to change the company name. I'm trying to be more innovative, but this is going a little slow, and I have to back up a little bit in what I do. So that's all I wanted to show in this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I just want to tell you, based on my experience, yes, plan with Opus, and then just let Claude do whatever it wants to. Now, one more thing I want to point out: Claude likes, this is what I want, this is what I need, I want this, I want that, I want Cognito, I want these side areas. It wants to be told what it needs and what you want. It wants to do the planning. It wants to orchestrate the steps which are being done. And I'm saying this because this is a different philosophy from Amazon and Kiro. Kiro wants a spec. You define phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. You define. I'm not criticizing it, but I did use it for Claude Code, and I found Claude Code a little bit like, why are you constraining me? Why are you making me do this? I want to do this my way, the more optimal way. And so what I found is that's the way I felt. I don't know how true that is, but Claude was working hard trying to do what the Kiro spec wanted to do. And so my suggestion is, talk to Claude, Word has it, even with Mythos, you give it a paragraph, it'll build the whole application perfectly. So, um, well, not perfectly, but the best way it can. Anyway, that's the end of this video. Let's move on.